How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Fear PHarm. Farm stylized with a capital PH. Farm. This is directed by Dante Yore, starring Tiana Tuttle, and is from 2020, which is kind of a rarity this year. A new movie from this year, given the outside world events. There hasn't been near as many movies released this year, but this is direct-to-video, so that market isn't as affected as the theatrical releases. That being said, this is the first direct-to-video Halloween movie that I've picked up. Around this time of year, places like Walmart should start to get a lot of direct-to-video horror movies, and in particular Halloween movies, and there'll be some good ones in there, and there'll be some hidden gems. So if you guys know of any direct-to-video Halloween movies coming out this month that are pretty good, even just okay, definitely tell me in the comments. I'm really looking forward to recommendations, and if there's one that you guys thought was good, I'll definitely run out and check it, because I do love the direct-to-video scene, you know. And yeah, if there's any direct-to-video Halloween movies you want me to check out, I am definitely taking recommendations, assuming I can find them, because, you know, some of these get kind of hard to find. But yeah, if you know of any, let me know, and I'll see if any of my local stores are selling them. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. This one actually came out late last month, so it was a little early on the bandwagon. But that being said, it's not super Halloween-y. It does take place on Halloween during a haunted hayride, but this isn't like, you know, pumpkins and costumes and trick-or-treating everywhere. But it is Halloween. It's just not super Halloween-y. Not that that really matters, but anyway, let's just jump right into it. I'll give you enough of the plot where you feel like you understand and know what this movie's about, but I'll try not to spoil anything major. So, no spoilers, but let's talk about the plot a bit. So you get this group of people chasing this woman through a cornfield. You later find out it's a corn maze. So she's on the run, not just from one killer, but a whole family of killers, and they, of course, eventually overtake her. And then it cuts to 15 years later, and you get this group of friends, and you first meet the athletic character, and, you know, the strong and, you know, knows what he's doing kind of guy. His girlfriend, the fun, preppy, cheerleader-esque character who actually winds up wearing a cheerleader costume throughout this movie. You know, the only one who's actually in a Halloween costume, although that wasn't its original purpose. But anyway, the athlete's best friend, who is this actor character, and the actor character is happy because he just landed a gig, well, he just did it, he already recorded it, an anti-vaping commercial, so even though that's only a little bit of success, it's his first taste of it, and he's kind of riding that high. So, an actor with his first successful commercial gig, and then the actor's sister, who is the, you know, stronger, more level-headed girl, obviously the one that's going to wind up being the main character, which is kind of odd that we're introduced to the athlete and his girlfriend first, when it's pretty clear early on that the actor's sister is going to wind up being our main character. They decide, one of the girls talks him into going to this haunted corn maze, so they all go down there, you know, and this is the more Halloween-y part. There's, you know, pumpkins and stuff here. And for some reason, during this scene, they recreate that distracted boyfriend meme. You know, the one where this guy and his girlfriend is looking over his shoulder at this other girl. Not particularly sure why they decided to do it, but it was subtle enough where it didn't seem weird. But if you know that meme, you're going to be like, oh, wow, they recreated it here for some reason. I don't know, just a fun joke. There are a few things like that, a few little inside jokes and Easter eggs. They don't get over the top, but if you're looking for them, they're there. They're not crazy. They're not everywhere. But there'll be things like, the main guy who works at the cornfield, his van has a 3 spray painted on the door, much like Woody Harrelson's character in Zombieland. There's a few things like that. Movies nowadays do love their Easter eggs. But anyway, they go to the corn maze, they get their hand stamped, they go in the door, and when they scan the main girl's hand, they say, "Oh wow, you need to go over here," and they're like, "What's this?" And the guy who runs the place goes up to them and says that they've won, that the main girl it's either the 10,000th or the 100,000th customer, and because of that, she and her friends get to go on the VIP maze. So they get in the van, they get to do this fun little zombie paintball thing as they're driving to the VIP maze. This is a giant cornfield, like over 100 acres, and the maze is all the way off to the side, way away from the regular one. And they get dropped off there, and right away you see the first thing is the maze has 5 entrances. Some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, and they don't know which one's which. The thing is, they really want to hurry through, though, because if they beat the maze in under 2 hours, they win money. And if they beat it in under 1 hour, then they win double the money. And these are young college kids, the most successful of them has only been in a vape ad. So, yeah, they really want them. It's kind of like a House on Haunted Hill. How do we get the characters to do something spooky? We just offer them a lot of money. So it's that sort of motivation that makes them go, hey, only one of us needs to win. Let's split up. And the characters each go down their own path, 4 out of 5, so they have a pretty good chance that one of them picked the shortest path. And along the way, they meet special haunt actors for this VIP maze, and they start to push and go, okay, you're taking the haunt a little too far. This maybe is really spooky. And at what point do they go from being spooky haunt actors to legitimately dangerous? And I'll probably end up referencing this movie a lot this Halloween, but kind of like The House is October Built, that ran on the same concept, how far is just a haunt before it's legitimately scary, that it's, an actual threat. So it's kind of that concept, and I guess here we should get into one of the movie's biggest strengths. The main characters, a lot of people have criticized them for being, generic modern horror movie slasher characters. They're always telling jokes. The actor character in particular gets a lot of humor, but a lot of people are like, these are too over the top, too campy characters, I don't like them. But one of the movie's biggest strengths is not the protagonist characters, but the villain characters. It's kind of funny. You see why I mentioned that prologue from 15 years ago is when you jump to the present and you see these villains again, they haven't aged. So because these villains haven't aged, that there's something special about them. Something is different, and something's up just from that. Even though you're watching a horror movie, you know that they're going to start killing people, obviously. But, right off the bat, they're off. But in addition to that, it's their personality. They play it like they're, like legitimate haunt people, like you probably would, where deep down they're family, they're friends, and they'll talk to each other casually, which has a cool juxtaposition when, they're gonna wind up killing people, and you see them talking to each other casually about it. And they're a fun, relaxed group of people that is also killing people, and some of them, like, there's, the main daughter in the group that has a fun, upbeat personality, and, you get, other characters that look a little bit like, say, Leatherface, and they're like, oh, I was trying really hard, but the character got away. And that's, it's kind of fun and good humor. And if this movie does get a sequel, I'd love to see these villains return, and probably with a stronger focus on them, because they are really fun, and it's one of the better things about the movie. As far as flaws, there are a few things. Like I mentioned earlier, some of the characters is a little too over the top and a little too trying for the joke too hard. It's weird, low budget movie humor, and they definitely push that there. Also, there's some times, like I mentioned, there's Leatherface-like characters, but there's some times where, you see a mask and it looks like a Halloween mask as opposed to, what it's trying to be, but I think that's passable because these probably are supposed to be Halloween masks. Like when you see a guy wearing human skin as a mask, but it looks like a Halloween mask, but this movie takes place on Halloween and they work at a haunt, maybe it's just supposed to be a Halloween mask, so I guess I can pass that. But one thing that really got me is this movie, while it does have blood and gore, there is a few scenes with CGI blood, and, usually that stuff doesn't bother me. Like, I heard about it going in, I'm like, CGI blood. I mean, I prefer practical, but I'm not going to be one of those people that gets all up in arms at the first sign of CG. But that being said, I definitely did notice, and I didn't really suspect to, but yeah, you see it. And it's one of these things, and not to get on a rant, but real practical blood, you need fake blood, a tube, and you don't even need a pump. The guy can just blow it with his mouth. And it's a easy effect to do, and it looks really good, versus if you choose to do it CGI, fluid simulations are hard. CGI is, when you do hard, flat objects, you can do those relatively easily, but when you try to do something like fur or liquid, it's harder to do, and a lot of people just, essentially get an animation and then just place it on top of whatever they're doing and call it a day, and it's really easy for fake blood to look really bad, and the scenes that it's in, it's not all the time, but there's like at least 2 scenes where it's pretty obvious, and you're like, wow, okay, no, they shouldn't have done the fake blood. They shouldn't have done the CGI blood there. Just practical blood, please. It's not that hard. Well, if there's like a place where you can't hide a tube, then I get it, But it did kind of irk me, and I'm not usually irked by stuff like that. And there is also kind of an abrupt ending. The movie's only 79 minutes long, and I would have preferred a bigger showdown-esque thing, but it kind of, gets to a logical point, and then, it ends pretty quick, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, it is also, like I said, 79 minutes, so a little on the shorter side, but that being said, there is a mid-credit scene there, so don't turn it off too quick. A little bit more of an ending with that. I know a lot of people don't suspect mid- or post-credit scenes in horror movies, because it's not a big Marvel movie, but check out the mid-credit scene, a little bit more of an ending, and that's good. But like, I looked on the back, and there's a quote, "A Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe with a bit of a Rob Zombie-ish feel." That's from HK and Cult Film News. I guess, that's one of the things that I picked it up as I was like, okay, I like those 2 things, but more of a Scream meets House is October built feel, the characters like that, a little wacky and self-referential, and then the idea of, how far is a joke. But yeah, they said Rob Zombie-ish, and this is R-rated enough, but it definitely doesn't go to the Rob Zombie level. Rob Zombies are hard R. They're movies that have to be edited down to get to R. This is R-rated, but it's not super, super R-rated. But that being said, that's a lot better than a lot of the things, a lot of the direct-to-video movies. Some of them, quite unfortunately, are pretty tame in their horror movies. And yeah, so the fact that this is, it's technically not rated, but it's basically, it would get an R, but not super hard, but it's more than a lot of these do. So, good enough. But I mean, Rob Zombie-ish, not really. But anyway, that being said, this is a good enough movie. It has some definite faults, but it's, it's good. You can, watch it and see the cool corn maze and see the family. So yeah, the weird humor with the main characters. I mean, the main girl is pretty good. The humor was a little weird at places. The actor character's over the top, and that's going to rub some people the wrong way. Like a scary guy pops out, and he's like, oh, that's good. Who's your agent? Here's some acting tips. And some people aren't going to like that. And there wasn't anything super revolutionary, but is a fun, House is October built-esque concept of how far is, just a scare, and you do get these villains, which are pretty good characters, and I wish there were more of them. So overall, pretty good. Don't expect anything revolutionary, but the better end of these low-budget films. But yeah, not great, but still a lot of fun to be had. So I definitely, recommend checking out if this is your type of thing. And I would love, like, if there was a Fear PHarm 2, I'd pick it up. So I guess that means I did like it a bit. But if there is a Fear PHarm 2, I definitely hope they focus much more on the villain characters, because those are really entertaining in the better part of this movie. But anyway, that being said, to those of you who have made it this far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping out the channel. I do about 95% horror movies on this channel, so if that sounds like something you're interested in, I'd recommend staying around. I'll put a relevant playlist down here. This should be my Halloween playlist. There might not be too terribly much on it right now, but I'm going to be filling that up October. So more Halloween-themed horror movies all month long. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Have a good day.